So, I want to talk about movies, specifically giving movies space to be great. Now, I'm highlighting the comic book world right now because you the comic book fans are usually the not the loudest majority when it comes to seething over their version of a story not being on screen. I get it. I absolutely get it that you don't see the thing that you want the most, or a scene or a moment that you loved from your book or your comic book on screen. That can be pretty frustrating. And I say that as a fan of many comics myself. But we also have to be aware that there are writers and directors behind these films, and they deserve the space to tell their story or their version of events. It's not just the author in this telling the story anymore. And in order to have work that lasts, that subsists and persists over the years, you have to be able to change it. You have to give it the ability to evolve sometimes. Batman wasn't always the Batman that we know and love today. He changed depending on, the times. And he had to. Superman's the same way. We don't have the same Superman from the 40s and 50s, the 60s. Because Superman had to change. So we have to be more understanding that this art isn't just our art. It's going to be, generations past and beyond who this art belongs to. So we have to give them the space to tell their stories and their versions of events. I've got friends to this day that refuse to acknowledge a good movie just because it was different from the version of the story that they had in their heads. And I think that's where you don't want to be. You don't want to be to the point where you're so strident, you're so calcified on your idea of a story or a character in a story that you can't even acknowledge a well-told story anymore. I know people who are still mad at the Thor Ragnarok movie. I was definitely upset because you basically take the Hulk's one of the best Hulk stories and you give it to Thor, which is crazy to me. But beyond that, the movie was a good movie. It was a well done movie. And I'm able to acknowledge that, even though I hate what they did with it and I hate what they took from the Hulk. But I have friends who can't acknowledge that this is a good movie just because it was so different. And, some of the best artwork is taking something and making it different. The painting isn't what you came for, but can you still enjoy the painting is the question. Can you still see what makes it work? Can you still see how beautiful it is, even though it's not what you're here for? You have to be able to do that. And I want to stress that as fans, it is our responsibility to give these works of art that aren't just ours space to change and to evolve, to become something new. It's on us too. And I'm speaking as a fan and a writer. I'm not, if I see something different in a work of art that many people love, I might manipulate it. I might change it. And the thing that I think that we miss the most in this is that this has already been done. We're enjoying works now that are way different from how they started, way different from their original content. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they weren't always, the dark or the cool, happy-go-lucky Ninja Turtles that we fell in love with in the 80s. They started off different, started off kind of dark. Actually, in the comic book world, there was nothing funny and cowabunga-y about it at all. But That's not the turtles that I fell in love with. It's not the turtles that I grew up on. You know, there are plenty of other examples too out there of things that you love that are different and were never intended to be the version that you fell in love with. Batman's origin story. My introduction into Batman was Tim Burton's Batman film, a film that many people laud to this day. And it's a great film. But I remember for years thinking that the Joker killed Bruce Wayne's parents. And that's why Batman hated him so much. But that's not true, actually. The Joker and Joe Chill are not the same person. But I didn't know that. Growing up, this was the version that I fell in love. This was the version that caught my eye first. And it was a bastardized version. It wasn't the same. But at this point, I'm just beating a dead horse. But y'all understand the message. Let's be a little more kind to the workers, to the writers, directors, and people out there who are doing the work and trying to put a vision in front of millions of people.